today. So we've been talking about a few things about your business. We've been talking about resetting how how you do your business, and yes, they were running around in the grass with White Sox. Yeah, that's which is to me is crazy. But they also wear the White Sox with slides, which is also hilarious to me, and like really short shorts. Um, but you know, I'm old. I'm not supposed to understand teenagers and vice versa. So I accept it. So we talked about resetting your business so that it's aligned with you, your personality, your strengths, how you're going to work best. So it fits you like a glove. That's one of the most important things in your business is being able to set things up that way. But then also over month after month, year after year, checking in with yourself to make sure you're continuing, that things aren't sliding off the rails in terms of operating your business in a way that fits you like a glove. Because it's very easy to start adding things or doing things that really aren't a fit for you. It can be very easy to do that. So the resetting and aligning your business to be a fit for you is something you want to do at the outset, hopefully, but then also you're continually checking in on and resetting that. And we talked about subtracting and making sure that before we start doing a bunch of things, we're identifying the things we don't want to be doing. Because a lot of business time and energy goes to things that really either doesn't produce much of a result or just produces a lot of unhappiness and stress for the business owner. So we want to make sure that we're subtracting. And again, this is another thing that hopefully you're doing at the outset of your business, and then pruning and subtracting is a big thing we're going to continue to do in our businesses because life expands just generally. Your personal life, your professional life. If you ever have an apartment or a house, you understand life expands. Before you know it, you'll have a house full of stuff. Like we just had spring cleaning, I think 2 weeks ago, and I put an exercise bike out there that really wasn't working anymore. I put a bunch of things out there, and consider myself kind of a minimalist, but I always have stuff to put out there every year, even though I feel like I don't have much stuff. I don't collect a lot of stuff. So even me, I have continual stuff to prune and get rid of, even though I don't feel like I'm a big stuff hoarder in general. But it's going to be the same thing in any area of your life, but also in your business. Like continue looking at what's not needed, what's taking up a lot of my time that really isn't either bringing me joy or a big return. Um, and looking to subtract those things because things just tend to get complicated more and more over time unless you actively prune and subtract. So that's one thing we want to be doing. Now, today, we're talking about selection and specifically about clients. One of the most important things you want to be able to do in your business is actively select the clients you want to work with and actively deselect clients you do not want to work with. And I'm going to bring this back a little bit to a dating analogy um, because as many of you know, Ashley and I helped people when it comes to dating and their love lives for many years. And one of the things that very attractive people often had a couple of unique problems. You would think like, oh, if you're very attractive, then dating's just great, which is not necessarily true, actually. Because number one, if you're very attractive, most people are just pursuing you because of your looks, because of the chemistry they have with you, which isn't a good thing by itself. Like you want that, but you don't want that only. And if you're if you're in the top 5% of attractiveness, especially as a woman, that's going to be leading a lot of your interactions with people. So that's a problem to really meet your right person. Um, but the second thing that kind of happens is if you're really attractive, you actually get a lot of incoming attention, but it's often not from the people who could really be a great fit for you long term. So it's a weird dichotomy where a lot of people that are very attractive feel like they don't really have to select or like actively pursue context of meeting the right person. Because I mean, why would you have to actively pursue putting yourself in situations where you could meet the right person when you constantly are bombarded with incoming attention from people? It feels like you don't have to put yourself out there, right? So if you constantly have incoming attention, it kind of almost lulls you into sleep. Like, I don't have to put myself out there. But the problem is, again, and this is what I would talk through a lot of these people that were very attractive, is yeah, but it's the people, all this attention you're getting is like 90% of people you're who would not ever be a fit for you in what you're looking for. So even if you have a lot of incoming attention, we want to actively put ourselves in situations to meet the right kind of people. And it's going to be the same thing in business. Even if you have a lot of people coming your way for your business, you want to get very good at client selection and at putting yourself in positions, in situations to meet the right type of clients. So now, one thing that can kind of happen is people often kind of think of like the law of attraction, or they think of like, I need to attract the right kind of clients. And to some degree, that is true, right? But more so than attraction is we actually want to push away the wrong clients. So we don't so much get what we attract in life as much as we get what we allow, tolerate, or settle for. So typically a lot of our problems in our business when it comes to clients, it's not that we're attracting the wrong clients, it's that we're allowing, tolerating, and settling for the wrong clients. You're always going to attract some of the wrong clients. There's no way you could set your business up in a way that you're only going to attract, your ideal clients, and no other people are going to be kind of pursuing working with you. So we have to set up things in a way where we're actively rejecting the types of clients that we don't want to work with. We don't want to allow, tolerate, or settle for the wrong clients. And I think the best analogy for how we do this is a garden. Again, if you want to grow an amazing garden, one of the most important things you're going to do is get rid of weeds, maybe even certain bugs that could kill your plants. You're going to get rid of things that will not allow the right things to grow, right? So for example, if you're growing a great garden, you're going to actively pursue conditions that allow what you want to grow, right? You're going to actively plant new seeds, and you're going to actively reject things that you don't want. So you're going to be pulling weeds, you're going to be getting rid of varmints and things like that. This is exactly what we need to be doing in our businesses, or in any area of your life, right? If you want to be making $1,000 an hour, you can't continue to tolerate and accept doing $15 an hour things, right? If you want to have a great relationship, a great loving relationship, you can't allow judgment, blame, and resentment to grow. You just can't. You got to reject those things. Same thing if you want great health, right? You can't allow, tons of sugar, tons of stress, little to no sleep and rest. Those are things we have to actively reject. So let's talk about this. When it comes to clients, we want to start looking at what are some of the things we want in clients, and what are some of the things we do not want in clients? Start to think of this for yourself. One of the things we don't want to do is have to make a bunch of sales to get the kind of client that we want. So this means that the best clients are already sold on a bunch of the things that you do. Let's say I help clients. Let's say I'm someone who helps clients lose weight, and I'm just going to pick some kind of diet, and I help people with a Mediterranean diet. And let's say I help people let's say I help people with a Mediterranean diet. I get them walking 10,000 steps a day, and I get them to work out twice a week. Let's say that's kind of my thing. It's going to be my best clients are going to be people that are already sold on the Mediterranean diet. They're not looking to do other ones. And maybe they're already sold on they have to already be sold on wanting to lose weight and getting fit. They probably have to already be sold on, walking as a form of exercise. Maybe they have to be sold on going to the gym twice a week. So I would want my best clients are going to be people who already believe those things. I don't want to have to make those sales to them. So your best clients are people who are like already believing in the things that you believe in. And hopefully they've already come to those beliefs through their life, through other people, through experiences, because it can be very hard to get clients when you have to make 3-4 sales to somebody. And I don't mean like money sales. I mean belief sales, right? Like, let's say I'm helping someone with dating. If I have to sell someone on even the fact that they should use a dating app, and let's say I help people using a dating app, if I have to make a belief sale that you should use a dating app, that's going to make my life a lot more difficult. I want to work with people who are already using the dating apps, but it's not working for them. So they're already sold on using it. They just need my method of doing it. So your worst clients are going to be people where you have to make 2, 3, 4, 5 belief sales. Or let's say you help people with trauma. You don't want to be trying to get clients. You don't want to have to educate clients and make 3, 4, 5 belief sales just for them to believe in the fact that they've went through trauma and they need to do something to solve it, right? They need to do something to overcome it. So your best potential clients are typically people who have newly identified a problem, which is the problem you solve, and they're 100% committed to solving it. If I had to say it in one sentence, that would be it. Your best clients are going to be people who have newly identified that they have the problem that you solve, and they're 100% committed to solving it. Now, one of the reasons you typically don't want to work with people who they identified they had this problem 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, is because that person is just going to be harder to work with because there's been some massive resistance preventing them from solving that problem. Either they've been avoiding it or they have been working with people or, learning how to solve the problem, but they've been resistant to all the suggestions. So that's why typically your best clients are going to be people who have identified the problem more recently and are now trying to solve it. They're not someone who identified that they had this problem 5 years ago. Not that you can't work with those people, but they're going to be harder to work with because they have more resistance around the problem and the solution. When Ashley and I used to help people in dating again, one of the biggest things we'd want to know is like, when's the last time you went on a date or tried to meet somebody? If someone had been avoiding dating for 5-10 years, I just know that my job would be way harder in getting them, because I'd have to work through a lot of issues just to get them to be willing to go out on a date. I'd much rather work with somebody if I'm going to get them quick results and simpler for me. I'd much rather hear that a potential client just went on 5 first dates and they were all terrible and they were frustrated by getting out on first dates with people who weren't a good match for them. Like that person is actively trying to solve that problem. So let's start with, when you think of your worst potential clients, what are some of the things that stand out to you? And this is going to be part of your homework, so you're going to want to write this down. You can do this now, a little bit now, and a little bit after this as well. But what are some of the qualities of the worst potential clients? One of the ones for me is someone who's like, yeah, but. A yeah, butter is like, it's someone who you're giving them a solution and they're always going to have yeah, buts, how it won't work for them. Like there's going to be 1,001 reasons why this won't work for them. They're going to kind of argue why something wouldn't work. One of the ones for me would be a lack of boundaries. If someone has a lack of boundaries, one of the ones for me would be if someone wants to process things more than they want to take action in the real world. So you're going to see some clients are going to want to just talk to you about the problems and they want to process them, which is, I'm not saying there's anything wrong. You do want to talk through your problems and process them, but you don't want to be doing that more than you're implementing solutions in your life. You want to have a good balance of that. So there could be some qualities around communication that would make a client not a fit for you. There could be some qualities about, how they communicate. One thing, and then you also want to think about like the situation. What situations might clients be in that would make you not really want to work with them? So if I'm helping someone in dating and they're having financial problems, they're having some addiction problem, like if they have these other extenuating problems, that's going to make it almost impossible for me to help them in dating. I don't want to work with them right now. I want them to go solve those things with the people that help those things. Same thing with a business owner. I've had people come to me for business problems, and then I realize, oh, this person actually just has an addiction problem right now. And they need to solve that first. So what are the situations that people might be in where you wouldn't really want to work with them? It could be maybe you don't want to work with college students. Maybe you don't be people in college. Maybe you don't want to work with someone who's new in the thing you're doing. Or maybe you don't want to work with someone who's been in the thing you're doing for 10, 15 years because you feel like those people are jaded. What are some of the qualities or the characteristics of the people could lead someone to be a client you wouldn't want to work with? Like for me, I don't really want to hang out with people that take themselves way too seriously. Just that's personally and professionally. I'm not saying we can't be serious at times, we can't really tackle big problems, but I really don't want to be spending a lot of like my time with people who take themselves so seriously that then it it creates a lot of tension in our interactions. Like one example, like think if you're helping people with dating, would you want to help people that also want to get pregnant pretty soon or not? Right? That could be a situation where you might want to factor it in whether you want to work with people or not that are in that situation. If let's say you're helping people with money or finances, what are some of the situations that you may or may not want to work with people on, right? Like, oh, pretty soon they have a kid graduating and going to college. That might be a situation where you don't want to work with people because of that, or you do. Right? Sometimes something coming up is a very big motivator for people to say yes to working on something, but it can also, so sometimes that's really great. And sometimes it can also add a lot of pressure to the situation to where it can be sometimes hard to work with people. So I'm not saying it's good or bad to have an impending situation coming up. It's just, we want to be selective about that. Same thing with weight loss or getting healthy. Like would I want to work with people that were just told they have diabetes or they have something where if they don't really get healthy now, there's big problems coming, or there's medications, or like, would I want to help someone get fit for a wedding in 6 months from now? Maybe, maybe not. But a big part of your worst headaches in business are going to be from choosing to work with the wrong clients. So this is why this seems very simple to do, but it's actually not. Especially if someone's coming to you and they're like, yes, I will pay you X amount to work with you. It can be very hard to turn that down. Sometimes the worst clients are just people who are not in the exact wheelhouse that you help people with, right? So like, can I help people with anxiety? Yes. I was a therapist for many years. I've helped many people with anxiety, or let's say depression as well. That could be another example. So could I do that? Yes. But I wouldn't want to choose to work with people that's their primary reason for coming to me. Now, if I'm helping them in their business or with, the primary reasons I help people with now, and they also have some anxiety or some depression around that, totally fine. But I probably wouldn't want to choose to work with people who their main reason for coming to me would be because they have anxiety. And the reason for that is because I'd have to really switch gears. It would just create more complexity in what I'm doing because I'd have to switch gears into really helping someone with that. So a lot of times we get into trouble with selecting clients and things is because we're like, well, yes, I could do that. I could help someone with that. But is it the best use of your time and energy to do it? It's kind of like, Ash and I own this wine bar and retail store, and we get a lot of opinions from people about what we should or shouldn't do, either with products or wine or beer, whatever. And and we love actually getting those, but we have to filter everything through like what's most important to us. Because usually the person is not considering, either they don't know how the business really runs, or they're not considering like the main factors that we prioritize. So a lot of times people will say we should do these things around, certain drinks or whatever, when they don't realize that actually the drinkers are not our main, like, we don't need more drinkers really. Where we make the best ROI is on product sales. Imagine if someone comes in and they come in for 10, 15, 20 minutes and they buy $100, $150 worth of jewelry. Or someone sits there. I mean, how long would someone have to sit drinking $5, $6 beers to get to $150? Like, we couldn't serve them that amount, right? So like, that's an example of where someone might be like, well, you should do this with beer or wine or whatever, but we're happy with how much beer and wine we're selling. We're focused more on the other part. And we want to be the same in our business. We want to know, I either get the most joy and happiness from working with these types of people and these types of offers, or I get the most return on my efforts financially and practically by doing this. So one of my worst clients are typically people that they just want a quick fix from me and just be done after one thing together. My best clients are people that I work with for a longer period of time and that I know I establish a relationship with, and we know each other for years, even if we don't work with each other all the time during those years. But we create a trusted relationship where on and off, we come into each other's lives and there's a lot of mutual support and love and caring and helping each other in these ways. I don't really want clients where I just I talk to them for 1 or 2 months and then I never see them again. So does everyone feel good about kind of what are a bunch of the qualities of some of the people who would be the worst clients? So now let's write down what do you think are some of the qualities of the best clients? Like I said, probably the most important sentence is this person's newly identified a problem that you solve and they're 100% committed to solving it. That's like the baseline. What do you think are some of the other qualities of some of the best, someone who could make a great client for you? Often for me, that's going to be someone who is willing to try things. Like if we talk about something, they're not going to be super resistant to trying it this week. Let's try this new thing you've never done before. Let's try it this week. I want people who are very committed, like will jump in and try things. I like people who will get to the truth quickly. So one of the things about me is I think one of the things that I help clients with, one of the reasons I'm great at helping clients is I'm going to get to the truth quickly. I'm going to be direct. I'm going to be loving, but I'm going to be direct. And I'm going to ask questions and I'm going to say things so that we can get to the truth. Because often one of the things that's blocking people from getting results or changing something is because they're not fully to the truth of the matter yet. It's like when my son, who's 13, when you can tell he's like in a bad mood and you're like, hey, how are things going? Is everything okay? I'm fine. That he's not at the truth yet, right? He's denying the truth that he's not fine, that he's tired or he's hungry or whatever. He's upset by something, right? And our clients will often do that in a lot of different ways. Like our human brain likes to deny the total truth. This isn't lying necessarily. It's just that one of our ways of dealing with things is not looking at the totality of the truth of the situation. So I want clients that are going to be willing for me to lead us to the truth. Because if we can do that, I know I can get us results pretty quickly. Yeah. People who are willing to receive feedback, people who won't give up after one setback. Yeah. Yep. And it's kind of like with a lot of these things, it's that it doesn't mean that they've never given up, after one setback. It's just that they're open in working with you. They're willing and open to keeping going after a setback. even if they're not sure how they're going to do it or if they can do it, if they're open and willing to do it, that's kind of the most important thing. One thing for me is like, I guess this would be more on the worst potential clients, is I typically don't want to work with someone who's seen like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other people like me and are kind of blaming those people for their problems. Because I know that if they're doing that now, I'm going to be like the next person they're going to do that with. So, and again, the key part there is blaming other people. So I think sometimes your best clients they're willing to identify what they want. They're willing to identify what they don't want. They're willing to try things and take action in spite of not knowing if it's going to work for them and maybe even doubting that it's going to work for them. I like working with people. I think my best clients are people that trust me during uncertainty. Okay, so here's another one where, and you'll see some of these things are just opposites of each other, for the worst client or the best. So I think the worst clients are people who they want to do it their way. So they think they know how to do this. So they just want to come in and ask me questions. And they think the way forward is that they know the way forward. And if they just ask me questions and I answer them, that's how they're going to get results. To me, that's like, if a client won't give up control of the process to some degree, then I don't want to work with them, because they've already proven that they can't get the results without me. So we can't have that person be 100% in control, So the best clients, in my opinion, are people that are willing to have me ask them questions, not just have me answer their questions, but are willing to be open for me to ask them questions to discover things they've never discovered before, so that then we can get results. In some circles, it's called the known unknown. So people that want to control 100% of the process and just ask you questions, that all of that is within their known unknown. It's like what they know, they don't know. But that's typically not where your big transformation and changes are going to come from. Your big changes in life are typically not going to come from your known unknown. They're going to come from your unknown unknown, meaning you don't even know the path there. It's like you know what you want, but you have no idea the path there. That's where the big change happens. And you're willing to like say, I know what I don't want. I know what I do want. No idea the path to get there. Help me. Right? That is where big change happens. It's kind of like sometimes someone with like a $5,000 a month business will come to me and they'll say, I want to make $40,000 a month. How do I do that? And to me, there's like no point in explaining to them how they're going to do it, because they have no fucking idea what that would even look like. Like, how can you judge something you don't understand, right? So I think the best clients, again, they're willing for you to take control of the process, not of the content of what they want, but like right now, I'm controlling the process of what we're all going through, right? Daniel's not up here, or Sarah or Danielle or Morgan. No one else is up here controlling the process. You guys are controlling the content of what you're doing, of what you want, of what you don't want, of the clients you're going to work with. But so you're giving the content, you're giving the things that are what you need to give, but I'm controlling the process, the journey of how we're going to get there. That's how big change always works. So if I had someone try to come on here and be like, well, I don't, why would you even want to why would you want to select the best clients or deselect? If someone was challenging that, then I know that they're really not a good fit for me to work with that. And I've had situations, especially a long time ago when I was not as good at selecting clients, I would get on a call like this and someone would be challenging the fuck out of what I'm saying about the process because they were resistant to it, to giving up some control of the process. Another thing that I really look for in my best clients is that they, with the way that they're willing to look at things as local to them. So like if I would be getting on a dating call like this and I'm telling people, hey, let's use this dating app to meet people this week. And someone gets on there and says, well, dating apps don't work. That's a very general statement, right? It's like dating apps don't work. Lifting weights does not work, right? Eating a Mediterranean diet does not work. Budgeting does not work. I know that if people are saying things like that, they're going to have a hard time making a big change. I want it to be more local and more truthful. Like, right? The truth might be dating apps haven't worked for me, right? A budget has not worked for me. That's in there. It's local to that's what I mean by local. It's like, this thing has not worked for me in my city, in my situation. And so I want people who are able to view things in that way. Because if you're very committed to dating apps don't work or budgets don't work, and I help you with a budget, I probably can't help you, you know? But if you're willing to say, hey, a budget has not worked for me, now that's a very different scenario. And we can talk through why hasn't a budget worked for you? Let's look at that. Let's talk about it, because I can work with that. I tend to like, now this is a very personal preference, but I tend to like clients who are a little bit more communicative with their like inner thoughts and feelings. Like, I don't love working with people who are probably more like me, like introverted and kind of like like, I don't like having to pull a lot of stuff out of people. I'd rather have someone, verbally vomit all their inner thoughts and feelings, and then we can manage that, versus me for like 3 weeks being like, so tell me, what is really going on? Like trying to figure out what their thoughts and feelings really are that we need to deal with. Now, that one's a personal preference. You might rather work with someone who's not as talkative. But again, I'd rather work with someone who's on the more anxious side than on the kind of depressed, shut down side. Because I know if someone's coming to me with, they're anxious, they're talking, they're overdoing things, I can manage that. It's easier for me to corral that person than it is for me to motivate and jumpstart someone who's like more on the shut down, depressed side of things. Someone said, I feel a little called out here. Yeah, you all are here for a reason, because I like working with you. And some of this you may not know yet. And you're maybe taking some educated guesses, right? Like, some of this is like, who do I just like to talk to in general, just personally or professionally? Who do I like to talk to? Who do I like? What styles of communication do I like? Now, one thing that you may or may not have is you may want to have people bring certain qualities to the table, depending on what you're helping people with. So again, if I'm helping people with dating, I may already want someone to have like a decent job, have just like the basic things that would make them a great partner. So I might have certain things like, I want people to have this, 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 and this. And then I can just bring my I want them to have these cards, and I just bring my one card, and that makes like a full house for their life. So I have I have different ways of working with people on their businesses. So sometimes I work with people, and the thing that they're bringing is just an excitement and a commitment and excitement and a purpose of maybe changing their careers to becoming a coach. And I might help them gain the skills of becoming a coach and the business skills. That's some people. Then I have other people who they're already an expert in something. They're coming to me as already with an expertise, and I'm just helping them wrap a business around that. So you just want to think, are there certain things I want them bringing to the table that would be nice for a client to have? Like, let's say you're helping people with debt. There's a lot of different situations there. Like, I know people with two high earners, a two high income family that are in massive debt. I know people that don't have any income and they're in debt. I know people that have one person, or that have like a low income and they're in debt. So I would want to think, do I prefer working with any of those people over others? I don't know. And again, I guess one of the final things for me is I want clients that are going to make decisions. This is kind of along the same lines of trusting me, being willing to try things, being willing to take action. I want clients who are willing to make decisions and test them out. I don't really want to be working with people where we're spending most of the time in indecision and trying to make a decision, because I feel like that's a lot of wasted time. It'd be better if we made a decision and then it was actually the wrong one, realized it, and pivoted. Like, I was working with a client recently, and she was really going back and forth on her first offer she was going to make to clients. She was going back and forth on the length of the first offer and the price of the first offer. And I could tell the if I could tell if she wasn't working with me, she would probably would never have a first offer. She'd be thinking about it for months, if not years. What is what I know. I know that happened because that was happening. So she was, again, it's not that people need to be great at making decisions, but they need to be willing to make decisions once they start working with me, right? So I said to her, hey, I don't care what we decide. If your first program is 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, but I want you to decide by Wednesday. And I don't care if it's this much money, or this much money, but let's decide on one and run with it. And let's run with it for like a month and start putting it out there. So your homework is going to be, have these 2 lists of who you think your worst clients would be and your best clients. Send them to Ashley and I, and we will kind of go through that with you. And again, this is a little bit of a work in progress. Some of you might know exactly who these people are, and some of you are just making educated guesses, and that's okay. And one thing that I would include in here are beliefs about the person's beliefs. So, like, do they believe in coaching? I want someone to believe in coaching. If I'm going to coach them, because I don't want to have to make that sale, right? If I'm going to help someone with their personal finances, I want them to believe that, getting help with debt or personal finances is a very normal, good thing to do. So I don't want to have to hard sell them on how getting help with your personal finances is useful. If I'm going to work with someone on health, fitness, I want them to believe that getting a trainer, getting a coach, getting someone to work with you on these things is something that people often do. But this is it can be a very useful thing. I probably want them to believe that if they don't make a change now, they're not going to make a change, because now is all we have. So the deeper side of this is really digging into what some of the beliefs that your clients could have that you think are useful for you, or the beliefs that you think would kind of lead people to be some of your worst type of clients. Like, if someone has a belief that all the good women are taken in San Diego, I can't help them with dating. Does anyone have any questions about this? We're going to dive deeper into this. So this week is about selection, or today is about selection. And then Wednesday, finally, we're going to talk about leverage, which is the exciting part of business. And is the super fun part people really like. So that's what we'll be talking about Wednesday. Cool. Well, send us in your homework. If you guys have any questions, any comments, you can go right into the community and post in there. All right. All right, everybody. Thank you.